Today, I'm going to show you what I think is hands down the best intermittent fasting schedule to use in order to get a downright ripped physique as easy and enjoyable as possible. Coming up! Hey, what's up guys? Niklas here from Intermittent Fitness, bringing you the best strategies and tools for getting ripped while keeping your lifestyle and minimize your hassle. So if you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button and make sure you also smash that bell. Okay, so let's get into today's video. What are actually the best intermittent fasting schedule to use in order to get a ripped physique as easy and enjoyable as possible? Well, just by budgeting calories, especially for the evening, you already get most of the benefits out of using intermittent fasting. With that said though, there's one intermittent fasting schedule in particular that definitely puts the icing on the cake when it comes to making being in a caloric deficit, which as you know is required to lose fat, feel extremely easy. And that's the schedule we're going to look at in this video. When it comes to intermittent fasting, I always recommend skipping breakfast and often postponing lunch as well, as eating most of your food during the second part of the day helps a lot with enjoyment and satiety. And if you haven't seen my previous video explaining the 5 big benefits of intermittent fasting that will help you get lean and ripped, make sure you check out that video before watching this one. But if you don't want to do that, here's a quick recap of the benefits. Number 1, intermittent fasting creates a huge food budget for later in the day when people typically are more hungry. Number 2, intermittent fasting improves satiety and satisfaction when cutting. Number 3, intermittent fasting enables you to more easily participate in social events and gatherings. Number 4, intermittent fasting saves you time. And finally, number 5, with intermittent fasting, every meal will feel like a cheat meal. These are the main benefits of intermittent fasting and will all improve your adherence and enjoyment to the diet. Okay, so you know why intermittent fasting works. Let's get practical and look at how to actually set it up. Now, the intermittent fasting schedule that I use as well as some of my clients is different from the usual 16-8, 24 or other common schedules out there. And I call it the flexible fasting schedule. And here's how it works. Postpone your first meal 4 to 8 hours after waking up. You don't have to break your fast at the same time every night. What's important is that you try to fast for as long as you feel is appropriate based on how your day looks. Ideally, you should aim to postpone your first meal around 4 to 8 hours after you wake up. What this does is making the already enjoyable and effortless fat loss tool intermittent fasting even more enjoyable and effortless. And we will look at why this is in a moment. But before doing so, let's continue with the flexible fasting schedule. Okay, so next up in the schedule is to drink a few large glasses of water. This is the first trick or tactic that will make your fast feel like a breeze. In fact, something that is very common is that the body mistakes hunger for thirst. So drinking water is crucial, especially during the fast. So for this reason, make sure you get at least 2 to 3 large glasses of water in during your fasted period. Next would be to ideally drink 1 to 2 cups of coffee during the fast. The second trick is to drink a couple cups of black coffee without sugar or milk during the fast. And if you don't like coffee, green tea or sugar-free energy drinks works just as well. The reason for this is because caffeine is shown to be a strong appetite suppressant. However, stick to 2, maybe 3 caffeinated beverages per day max, otherwise you will build up a tolerance for caffeine and both the hunger reducing effects and alertness effects of caffeine will diminish. Okay, so the next thing would be to move around during the fast. This is the third trick and it is to move around or at least stay physically active during your fast. First of all, what this will do is keep your mind off of food. But secondly, and more importantly, it will also make you feel better. One of the potential drawbacks of fasting, especially before you get used to it, which typically takes around 1 to 2 weeks for most people, is that you might experience brain fog, light headaches and dizziness. Luckily though, staying physically active during the fast typically removes these side effects completely. This seems to be because the elevated levels of stress hormones, such as cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline and growth hormone, that are caused by not eating, actually wants you to move around. Which explains the basics of our physiological nature, which is that we need to move in order to seek out and hunt food when there's none available. Now, if you can't move around during your fast because of work or something else, then at least try to stay busy in other ways, as this also will improve your well-being during the fasted hours. Okay, the next thing or trick would be to eat a fruit. This trick should be used if you really feel that you need to eat something. Sure, you will break the fast, but only with very few and satiating calories. I typically use a strategic fruit myself at times when I'm getting very lean, and I usually do so to postpone the first meal for another couple of hours, to further make my evenings and nights even more easy and enjoyable for me. This is a trick that I got from Greg over at KinoBody.com, and it works very well. The reason why the fruit strategy works is because it replenishes some of the emptied liver glycogen caused by not eating for 15 to 18 hours. What this does is signaling your brain that there's enough liver glycogen to fuel the body for another few hours, which then blunts some of your hunger. Just make sure to count the fruit into your daily caloric intake and you will be alright. Okay, so next up in the schedule, after you have been fasted for around 15 to 18 hours, is to have 3 to 4 meals during the second half of the day, and also to eat as late as you want. This is going to be your eating window, where you are allowed to eat as late as you want in the evening, simply because it's followed by a 15 to 18 hour long fast, depending of course on how long you sleep and choose to fast for. I recommend that you start off with a shorter fast and then increase the time as you get more used to fasting. Also, feel free to experiment how you want your meals to be set up for yourself during the feeding window. I personally like to have my meals at the same time throughout most of my days, and here's how I typically choose to eat. Between 12 to 2 p.m, I have usually been up for around 6 to 8 hours, and this is when I have my first meal of the day, which typically contains around 30% of my total calories. Then between 4 to 6 p.m, I have my second meal of the day, which is also my feast. And this meal typically contains around 40 to 50% of my total calories. This is the meal that makes me feel incredibly satisfied and full, even at a low body fat percentage. And then between 8 to 9 p.m, I have my final meal of the day, which typically contains around 20 to 30% of my total calories. Okay, so the last step of the flexible fasting schedule is to experiment how you want your macros to be spread out as well. With time, you will learn how to enjoy your fasting schedule more and more. It took me about a year before I found out which eating pattern I like the most, and it is this one. In my first meal, I eat mostly protein and fruits or vegetables. This gives me a medium amount of protein, medium amounts of fiber, low amounts of carbs, and a low amount of fat. Then in my second meal, which are also the largest, I eat all the macronutrients. This gives me large amounts of protein, medium amounts of carbs, medium amounts of fats, and medium amounts of fiber. Then in my last meal, I eat my remaining carbohydrates, often in the form of a dessert or snack, such as chocolate, low-fat chips, or ice cream, which gives me low amounts of protein, high amounts of carbs, medium amounts of fat, and low amounts of fiber. In this final meal, I typically include some form of vegetables to make the meal healthier as well, without adding almost any calories. So there you have it, what I believe to be the best intermittent fasting schedule for getting ripped pretty much effortlessly, guys. Now I suggest you try this setup out, or at least a similar one. And as time goes by, don't be afraid to change stuff around if you find something that is working better for yourself. This is part of being flexible, and having such a mindset is incredibly important for long-term success. Okay, now before finishing up this video, let's look deeper at how the flexible fasting approach really works and why it's so powerful. Remember how I explained earlier that you don't have to break your fast at the same time every night? What I'm about to tell you now is one of the most important things when it comes to successfully achieving a long-term fat loss. And trust me on this, I have devoted 4 years to learn the hard way through trial and error how to both diet for long periods of time and to stay around 10% body fat year-round pretty much effortlessly if I so choose to. Okay, so what's the secret? It's actually pretty simple and very liberating. And it is to stop depending so much on willpower. In fact, humans are terrible at depending on willpower, especially when we are trying to get lean. The secret with the flexible fasting approach is that you will remove having to depend on willpower at the hardest part of the day to do so, which is during your evenings. In fact, think of willpower as a battery. When you wake up, your willpower is 100% charged and you feel ready to crush your day. At this time, your battery is full. Now, during the day, you make thousands of decisions which all take their share of willpower from your battery. And then at night, depending on how hard your daily tasks were, your willpower status will likely be a lot lower and could look like this. This is, by the way, perfectly normal and why we actually need food, relaxation and sleep to replenish our system. The only problem is that if we can't get the food, relaxation and sleep, then getting to a ripped physique will be a very grueling task for us. So managing willpower can be the difference between regularly going on binges and periods of yo-yo dieting, or having a healthy eating pattern and successfully getting and staying lean long term. Actually, when you force yourself to stop eat at say 8 or 9 p.m. like you would with the usual 16-8 protocol of fasting, then you must depend on willpower when you are already in the red zone. And having to resist eating with low willpower is not an easy situation to be in, neither is it comfortable. The risk of going on a binge is extremely high during this time. Not only that, it is also a time when people actually want to eat and enjoy food together. Do you see where I'm going with this? And there's no need to worry either. The flexible fasting schedule makes up eating at night by postponing your first meal 4 to 8 hours into the upcoming day instead. This not only puts you in a long enough fast to buffer calories for the evening, but it also gives you a few hours of leeway, which can be great for some days where your hunger might kick in earlier and other days where you can hold off eating for longer. Most importantly though, this leaves you with only one time throughout your day where you must depend on willpower, which is during the morning and day when you are fasting, at a time that's been scientifically shown to be the easiest to rely on willpower. And to be completely honest, the fasted hours are so easy to go through anyways, especially with the help of the 4 tricks we discussed earlier, which were drinking water, coffee, having a fruit, and moving around during the fast. And also with the knowledge that you can relax with an upcoming feast later in the day. Okay guys, so let's quickly recap how to set up the flexible fasting schedule. Number 1, postpone your first meal 4 to 8 hours after waking up. Number 2, drink a few large glasses of water. Number 3, drink 1 to 2 caffeinated beverages during the fast to make it easier. And number 4, move around during the fast to avoid uncomfort and to expend more energy. Number 5, eat the fruit if you really must have something to eat. This allows you to postpone your fast for a few more hours. Number 6, have 2 to 3 meals during the second half of the day and eat as late as you want. And number 7, experiment how you want your macros to be spread out. That's it. By following this flexible fasting schedule, I can ensure that you will find fat loss to be a lot more enjoyable and easy for you. In fact, getting that lean and ripped physique has never been easier, at least not for myself, as well as for clients that have successfully lost a lot of fat and also kept it off for good using this approach. Okay, so there we go. If you liked the video, I would love it if you gave it a like. Also, I'm very interested to know what your thoughts are about the flexible fasting schedule and if it's something you will consider trying. So let me know down in the comment section, guys. And finally, make sure that you subscribe for more videos coming your way every Wednesday. Thanks for watching and I see you soon. Bye.